In the state of Alabama, we have 2 tornado warnings currently for the state. That first one we are looking at is currently in Pickens County, and this is a very dangerous storm. We can see that hook echo crossing that Mississippi-Alabama state line right now, and this is moving into areas such as Reform, and it is expected to eventually go to the north of Tuscaloosa. That is in the long term, but if we see where it is right now here in Pickens County, this is our velocities. What that shows us is the change in wind direction. Where you have those reds and those greens meet, you have rotation indicated, and that is where you would see a tornado form. That tornado, if it is on the ground right now, is sliding right in between Memphis and Pickensville right now. This is about to cross Route 14. So if you know anyone driving through Route 14 along the stretch from Pickensville across to Beavertown, this is a very dangerous storm. You need to get to the lowest location in your home, away from windows. A basement is ideal if you have one. And this is just to the north of Memphis, Alabama right now. Right in this area where we see those light greens and then the darker reds and yellows, that is where we do have that indicated rotation and potential tornado. We don't have a confirmed tornado on the ground, but I would not be surprised at all if there is one right now. And again, this is about to move towards the northeast. This is moving towards the northeast, and it is about to cross Route 14. So if you have any friends in Pickens County, again, this is Pickens County that we are seeing this indicated rotation and supercell tornado right now. So get to the lowest level of your home. We have an update from our other student meteorologist, Jonathan Marcus. Jonathan, do you have anything for us on this tornado?
I'm just going to speak off of someone else's mic. I have social media data mining, large wall cloud reported in Macon County, Mississippi, just across the border from this confirmed tornado. Looking at radar, we don't have anything on CC right now, so looks like it's just a wall cloud right now. No tornado on the ground yet, but if you are anywhere north of Aliceville, in between Reform, Gordo, Carrollton, you need to be in your shelter now, as there is a likely tornado strengthening, quite strong rotation gate to gate shear right there. So we're looking at a dangerous situation developing. Tuscaloosa County, start to tune into your local media there. We're going to go back to, I believe,
we can go to Robert at the Storm Center.
Yeah.
Another tornado potentially ongoing. It is a little bit in the area around I-22. As you can see on this graphic right here, it is between Winfield and Brilliant. It is a tornado-warned storm. We don't see quite as strong of a rotation signature with this storm. In fact, the tornado warning was just canceled, but we do emphasize that you need to be vigilant with these storms because there are quite a few in this area that is quite favorable for tornadoes developing. So even though the tornado warning was just dropped for this storm, I wouldn't be surprised if something else spins up in the future. But if we go back down to that storm that we were watching earlier, you can see that it is quite ramping up a little bit. This area right here, just northwest of Aliceville, along Alabama State Road 14, has an area that is pretty much a textbook for tornadoes. Basically, when you're looking for a tornado and you see a feature on the storm like this, where you have this area of green around this area of red, that's actually an area where we see significant circulation, potentially a tornado forming. And if you look at the velocity features here, that's quite evident because what velocity essentially shows is just winds and wind direction. Green is towards the radar and red is away from the radar. But the only thing you really need to know with this setup right here is that when you see two of these colors that are right next to each other, that really emphasizes the fact that this could potentially be a dangerous situation where you have these winds going in a circle, rotating, having this mesocyclone that eventually could drop a tornado. And that's why we're concerned about this storm, because we have these classic features. So if you're around Beavertown, going towards Carrollton and Beasley, you're going to need to make sure that you are taking your tornado precautions, going into that interior, lowest level room of your house, making sure that you are, of course, keeping you and your family inside and not watching this tornado or potential tornado in progress. And you're taking all the precautions you have. Obviously, if there are tornado shelters that you can get to very quickly, not like a drive, but you can just get to within the minutes, or if there's a basement that you get to, that's preferable, but an interior lowest level room, not seeing particularly much on correlation coefficient yet that would indicate a tornado on the ground, but this is still a very, very dangerous situation. So now I'm going to pass things off to Jonathan Marcus back at the computer to tell us more about the ongoing situation.
Yes, so we just got an update from the National Weather Service in Birmingham that a tornado warning is going to remain in effect until 4:15 Central Time for Central Pickens County. The city of Garden is where the tornado is located right now, but it is quickly heading off towards Carrollton, and for more on that, we're going to send it off to Aaron on the wall.
Jonathan, here is that hook echo right now, just northwest of Aliceville. That is moving off to the northeast right now. So if you're in places like Carrollton, up towards Reforma, you might have to watch out for this tornado. Do take shelter in the lowest part of your house, or if you don't have a basement, or really in the interior portion of your house, away from windows. As right now, there's no confirmed tornado, but again, this can quickly spawn up a tornado and move off to the northeast. And again, I don't think we have any spotter warnings quite yet. So, but there is the velocity. You can see the reds and the greens pretty close together right there. That is where we would have our tornado just off to the east of Pickensville, moving off to Carrollton over there near Pickens County and that area off to the northeast around looks like Alabama Route 86 all the way up to Route 17. Do watch out. Make sure you do go into the lowest part of your house. Once again, this is a tornado warning between Pickensville and Aliceville, and it looks like it will go right off to Carrollton into the northeast. And let's see, yeah, right here, there is the reds and the greens, and the tighter they are together, the more likely we'll see those winds rotating very quickly around the center of where we will see the tornado. And there's that hook echo right there, just updated on radar. That is moving off to the northeast again to Carrollton. So again, I want to stress this enough. Please go into the lower part of your house, into the center part of your house, away from windows, and do take shelter, because again, this could be potentially life-threatening to houses across the area. So do make sure you watch out. But now I'll turn things over back to Jonathan at the wall for any more updates.
Yeah, so currently zooming in on the Carrollton area behind me on both velocity radar and correlation coefficient. We're still not seeing anything on correlation coefficient that could indicate a tornado on the ground, but the gate-to-gate shear, we are seeing those deep reds and those bright greens rubbing against each other, and when that happens, that is when we have signs that tornado could be developing and on the ground. Zooming in on the Carrollton area, Clement Street, Lipsey Road, Franconia Road, Commerce Avenue. If you are along any of those streets in the city of Carrollton, you need to get into your shelter now. Of note, there appears to be a Boeing segment forming north of Reform on the radar. We're going to have to watch that carefully as we progress through this storm. It could be an evolution of it. It could either enhance or detract from that southern circulation. But if you are in the city of Carrollton or the town of Carrollton right now, you need to be in a tornado shelter. It is approaching rapidly within the next 5 minutes. Then it should split the difference between Reform and Gordo. Now we're going to send it off to Riley on the wall, who's going to take a look at the bigger picture.
Yes, Jonathan, and what we have right now, all in yellow, this extends all the way from portions of Louisiana, and it goes up into northern Alabama. All this yellow highlighted area is a tornado watch right now. That means conditions are favorable for a watch. And what we really have is a lot of Gulf moisture ahead of a low pressure system that's actually bringing some snow up to our friends in the north. But we have a lot of Gulf moisture being brought up into portions of Mississippi and Alabama right now, and that's really starting to help fuel these storms. And along a cold front that is passing through, that's where we have a lot of lift in the atmosphere. It's causing some pretty significant severe weather, and we can see that with these lines of storms. We not only have tornado warnings to talk about, we have severe thunderstorm warnings and just heavy rain in general with these storms moving through. We can see a severe thunderstorm warning. This is just moving across the Mississippi River here. We're moving in from the state of Louisiana into Mississippi. This is crossing Route 61 here. Just to the north of Jackson, places like Centerville are on the outskirts of this severe thunderstorm warning. That means you have the potential to see things such as hail, strong damaging winds, and there is a chance of a tornado with every severe thunderstorm warning. But if it is expected for there to be a tornado warning, the National Weather Service would upgrade that. I don't expect that with this storm. But if you know anyone that is driving along Route 61 this evening from Jackson to the Centerville areas, this is definitely the time you want to tell them, maybe pull over on the side of the road before conditions get too dangerous to drive. Now, here's a look at Jackson, Mississippi right now. Just to the east of Jackson, Mississippi, we have another severe thunderstorm warning. This goes for cities such as Philadelphia and DeKalb, Mississippi. And those are areas where you are also seeing, we just see Philadelphia has been taken out of that severe thunderstorm warning as it does move to our east here. But DeKalb is seeing a severe thunderstorm warning right now. So this is a time to get indoors, stop playing outside. If you have your kids outside, you want to make sure everyone is staying safe and away from damaging winds and hail. Just a severe thunderstorm warning is enough to cause some trees to fall down, and that is not something you want to be outside for or in your car. So that is why getting to shelter for severe thunderstorm warnings is important, just like tornado warnings, because you can see similar effects with these storms. So we are now going to head off to the wall to our new monitor with Jonathan, who is going to have a continued update on this tornado warned storm in Alabama.
So unfortunately, things are not looking better for the town of Carrollton right now. We still have that velocity couplet on radar, but notice we have this little green pixel on our correlation coefficient. We're not sure if that's picking up either hail or debris right now, but there was a report right here of 0.51 inch hail. So just over half an inch sized hail reported in the system, so we know it is a powerful thunderstorm. If you are east of Commerce Avenue right now in the town of Carrollton, there is that elevated correlation coefficient that is right where the couplet is. We are potentially seeing a tornado tracking through the south and east side of the town of Carrollton right now. Zooming out for the bigger picture, there is that severe thunderstorm warning across the border in Mississippi, affecting the town of DeKalb, Scuba, just to the south of Macon. There was a wall cloud reported earlier in Macon associated with the cell that is in Pickens County, Alabama. And this cell is racing off to the northeast. They've sort of trimmed down the tornado warning to reflect that. It's racing off to the northeast at 65 miles per hour. I'm going to go ahead and refresh the National Weather Service Birmingham to see if they have any reports. Not seeing any tornado reports yet, but that tornado signature and that correlation coefficient continue just to the east of the town of Carrollton. And I'm going to throw it off to the wall for Aaron, who's going to take another look at the situation.
That's right. And here is once again the tornado warned storm right now, just off to the southwest of Carrollton. Right now, moving off to the northeast. We're going to move over places like Reform and over Route 82, moving off to the north and east. Again, here is where the possibility of a tornado is, right here near Carrollton. Again, moving off to the northeast. And again, this will pass just off to the northwestern portions of Tuscaloosa. So places like, again, if you zoom in a little bit closer, see right there in Reform, there's, again, it's moving to the north between Fayette and Samantha right there. And eventually it looks like it'll cross Route 40 or Route 43 if it does hold together. But again, the entire area is underneath a tornado watch, which basically means conditions are conducive for tornadoes. So it wouldn't be surprising if we see more tornadoes possibly forming across places like Mississippi and Alabama. Again, possibly even as far south as Louisiana may even get a few stronger thunderstorms. But again, possibility of some more tornadoes, again, as we continue on through the rest of the evening in places in far eastern Mississippi and western Alabama. And of course, that whole line is all shifting over towards the east. So later on, we'll probably talk about places closer to Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, and of course Huntsville with the risk for severe weather. And again, we have those strong lines even off to the west right there over Starksville and Macon right now. Again, all this is flowing off to the northeast, and eventually we'll bring those more storms, of course, and we will keep you updated here as we watch for any more of these rotations that may pop up on radar. And you can see right there for this particular storm cell over near Aliceville, it is moving off to the northeast, and you can see, I'm trying to read right there, about 70 miles per hour right there, moving off to the northeast. So this is a pretty quickly moving storm right there. Moving off from now, just looks like it'll be just to the north of Tuscaloosa between Samantha and Fayetteville right there on Route 43. And it looks like we see some more storms off to the, so okay, I guess we'll widen things out then. Again, the entire area between about just to the southern portions here, Jackson, all the way up to about Huntsville right now, underneath those severe, or tornado warning, or tornado watch, I should say, right now, as we do see those storms moving off to the east right now. It wouldn't surprise me if we may see an extension of that tornado watch, especially in places in northern Alabama, closer to that enhanced risk of severe weather this afternoon. And again, that extends all the way as far south as the Mississippi River, as Evan was mentioning earlier, near the Louisiana border. But now we'll turn things back over to the desk with Robert.
Discussion out from the Storm Protection Center. It was just issued, and it's basically just saying that the severe weather situation is still underway in Mississippi and Alabama, and thunderstorms should overspread the region within the next hour or two, and we might see the situation, unfortunately, really pick up here. And as they say in their discussion, this situation is going to continue at least for the next few hours in Tornado Watch 21. And honestly, it is possible that we could see a downstream extension of the watch that hasn't been mentioned yet, but as the situation continues throughout, we could see a downstream extension for places like Birmingham and potentially even areas just east of there. It's going to be roughly along the Interstate 20 corridor for the next few hours, maybe 22 as well. And it's going to be southern Mississippi into central Alabama, and there is associated destabilization with a strong amount of shear. And essentially what that means is that there is a good amount of shear in the atmosphere, which is helping these winds to turn and produce these mesocyclones that can form tornadoes. And the important part of that is that I mentioned there's some instability as well, which basically means that pockets of air are able to rise and form these thunderstorms. The SPC is essentially just saying in plain language that there is an area right over Mississippi and Alabama that we're watching for the potential for seeing these thunderstorms, and it is a favorable environment, unfortunately, for these thunderstorms. And they are saying that with the approach of the front, these wind profiles will become linear, and that is a thing to also take into account as well. We essentially have a two-mode situation with this storm setup. Ahead of this front, we have these supercells, which are very cellular and in front of the front, and these are the cells that we could see potentially strong to damaging tornadoes from. We have a second round, however, behind those supercells, and this is going to be a little bit later into the afternoon and evening. And this is going to be these storms along this front. And as you have those storms, it's going to be a little bit more of a line. That's what they say when they mean linear. And because it's a line, it's not a discrete supercell, it has a less chance of forming those strong damaging tornadoes. But we could still see some tornadoes embedded within that line, and that could potentially be even more dangerous because less people expect them, and it's going to come later in the night. So these are all important things to keep in mind throughout the severe weather setup right now. I'm going to pass things off back to Jonathan at the monitor for a more updated look at the situation unfolding right now.
Yeah, so thankfully I'm thinking that that correlation coefficient that was over Carrollton, that might have been hail. There is a hail report, as you can see behind me, of 0.83 inches. So the storm is definitely strengthening as it moves to the east. However, I'm thinking we have more of a mesocyclone rather than a couplet at the ground right now, and that is supported by the storm spotter observations in Macon County, Mississippi, pardon me, where there has been a wall cloud reported. Still not seeing any reports of a tornado on the ground in Pickens County, but Pickens County will remain under this tornado warning for the next 30 minutes or so. The storm is continuing to move northeast at 65 miles per hour. Eventually, we are going to have to monitor this for Winston County, for Tuscaloosa County, and for Fayette County. But for now, it is confined within the bounds of Pickens County, and it is our only tornado warned storm. But for zooming back at another look at the big picture, here's Riley on the wall.
Yes, now throughout the night we are expecting continuing severe weather threats across the deep south here. And what we're looking at right now is our storm outlook for the day. Now this is the probabilities of you seeing severe weather within your given location. And we can see the greatest threat for severe weather this evening, that includes severe thunderstorms, hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes, is in this brown-orange shaded region. And that includes portions of northern Mississippi into northwestern Alabama, and portions of western Tennessee. So these are all areas you have to be on alert. This is a 3 out of 5 risk for severe weather, which is a pretty sizable risk. I believe this is our first enhanced severe weather risk we have had of 2022. Now, looking at our velocities right now, right over Gordo, Alabama right now, this is in Pickens County, is where we have those greens and those reds meeting. Where those greens and those reds meeting is where you have rotation in the atmosphere, and you can see this by looking up at the clouds. If you're in somewhere like Gordo right now, just looking up, you probably will be seeing the rotation of a mesocyclone in the sky, and that is something that could produce a tornado, which is why we have this tornado warning in effect for Pickens County right now. Now, this is going to continue moving towards the northeast. Ecola, you are in the path of this storm, and eventually areas like Windham Springs, Samantha, we'll see if this holds together by then, but that would be crossing Route 43 this evening. So anywhere in the Pickens, Tuscaloosa, Fayette County areas of Alabama is definitely somewhere where we want to be vigilant for this tornado threat and act as if there is a tornado on the ground. Get to that safe space, whether it be the most interior section of your home away from windows or a basement, which is ideal. Now, Jonathan, do we have any new updates on this cell?
I am not seeing any confirmed tornado reports still, but it does look like we thought it was going to split, reform in Gordo, but it looks like it's going to head right into Gordo. Zooming in on the signature over Gordo, we're not seeing the bright red and the bright green rubbing against each other, so it's not a super tight couplet, but rotation does remain in place. No correlation coefficient, but if you are anywhere in the corridor from the restaurant Cheeky's up to Gordo High School, you need to be in your shelter now anywhere along 4th and 5th Avenue in downtown Gordo. That is where we are expecting a possible tornado to sweep through in the next few minutes. I do believe I'm hearing that we do have a new tornado watch that is going into effect, so I'm going to send it over to the desk with Robert, and he's going to look at where that was issued.
Right, we do have a new downstream watch that has been issued for areas like Birmingham and along the I-65 corridor. It is unfortunately not popped up on the system here, but it is going to last until 9 p.m. Central Time. We do also have 2 new local storm reports from the National Weather Service as well. One with a magnitude of 50 mile per hour thunderstorm wind gust. It is just 1 mile west-northwest of South Haven, Mississippi, and it was a source by the National Weather Service employee there. And this is basically just saying that these thunderstorms are very strong, and they are strong enough to bring some pretty gusty winds to where you are. So make sure if you are in the line of this thunderstorm setup, you are having all your outdoor, patios, your chairs, tables, excuse me, tied down. You have all your plants that you want to take inside, taken inside, and of course not being outside right now and staying in that interior lowest level room. Something very important to keep in mind during this setup is even if you don't have a tornado, some of these thunderstorm wind gusts can be as strong, as damaging, or even stronger than some of the weaker tornadoes that we might see tonight. And the reason that you want to keep that in mind is because the tornado warning isn't issued, some people don't go to that important lowest level interior room. Whenever there is a warning issued, no matter what it is, just take that precaution. Go inside that lowest level interior room and make sure you are staying alert with these alerts. But we're going to pass things off back to the wall with Jonathan because he has an update for us.
Yes, so new tornado warning in effect for Tuscaloosa County. University of Alabama students, this does not include you. It is northwest of the I-59 corridor. It's just going to clip the northwestern portion of the county. Does include the town of Samantha and Lake Tuscaloosa, but it is going to last until 4:45 Central Standard Time. And for more on that, here's Aaron on the wall.
Have, of course, a tornado watch that has been extended until 6 p.m. or 9 p.m. excuse me, for Birmingham and Tuscaloosa, and we do have that new tornado watch that is in effect for Tuscaloosa County. It just popped up into my system. It is going to be in effect until 5:45 p.m. local time, and of course, as Jonathan just said, this does not include the University of Alabama, and this is just north of Tuscaloosa, and we are seeing this is just a downstream extension of that tornado warning that we had there, but now we're going to pass things off back to Aaron.
That's right. And here we have the extended tornado watch right now with the portions of central and northern Alabama, including places just north of Montgomery, Coleman, looks like Birmingham, all the way up into Huntsville along the I-65 corridor right now, where we just now have the extended tornado watch now till about, actually this evening about 9 p.m. Central Time, so it'll be about 10 p.m. Eastern. But here is that closer look at that new tornado warning. It's not the new tornado warning, but it is an extension of the last tornado warning. And it's just to the north of Tuscaloosa, so not in the Tuscaloosa city limits, but is on the northern part of Tuscaloosa County right now in Alabama. So places like Samantha right now need to take shelter in your house right now. Make sure you go to the lowest place in your basement possible. And here again, here are those greens and those reds right here. Looks like where the tornado would be located right here, somewhere between Reform and Samantha here. If we look a bit closer, right here, where we might see those rotation around, again, where the tornado might be. So Ecola right there, and again, off to Samantha. Again, this is all northwest of Tuscaloosa. So if you don't know, or at least relatively where it's at, this is northwest of Tuscaloosa. Again, just along US Route 82 right now, just down from the southeast of Reform. This is, again, moving off to the northeast. Here's the correlation coefficient. Look, we might see some, maybe some debris possibly right here, just to the northern part of US Route 82. Again, this is what we would be looking for if we see any debris with tornadoes, any damage or structural, anything like that, then the tornado might be picking up. And of course, it looks like this might, not sure if it exactly is, it might be just radar, might just be radar collider there. But again, this is northwest of Tuscaloosa, moving off to the northeast towards Samantha, and along US, right now this is along US Route 82 currently. And again, this is moving off to the northeast. So if you're in Samantha, please take cover right now, because this is a very serious event and it could be life-threatening potentially. And I'll pass things over back to Jonathan with any more updates on the cell.
Yeah, just saw a video of a funnel cloud in over the Mississippi border that's in line with everything we've seen. We haven't seen a tornado on the ground yet. Notice on this correlation coefficient behind me, we do have some blue pixels coming out, but I do believe that is hail. Radar is picking up hail size of just about 1 inch. So this thunderstorm is continuing to strengthen. I unfortunately don't have lightning data in front of me, but that is often a measure of what we use to classify a storm intensifying. But as long as there is hail present in the storm, we know the updraft is strong and that the thunderstorm is not dying off. Looks like just to the north in Fayette County, there is some 3.38 inch hail. But with this thunderstorm that is heading towards Samantha, we're sort of seeing that velocity couplet weaken a little bit, but that could mean the storm is cycling. And Riley can explain to us more of what cycling looks like as he's on wall looking at that radar data.
Yes, so that is the good news with this cell right now, if there is any. We have currently a cell. Before we were seeing a hook echo, and we saw those light greens make their way into the cell shaped like a fish hook. That is why we call it a hook echo. But the good news now is we're starting to see it become more linear in shape rather than curved. And we're seeing, if we look at our velocities right now too, rather than seeing a little hook in the velocities, if we can pull those up there, if we have somebody at our graphics. But looking at the velocities, the greens and the reds, where they meet is where you have the rotation in the atmosphere. And we will get to that in just a moment here, but again, if you are, we are seeing that here we go with the reds and the greens. Where they meet is where you have a rotation in the atmosphere, and right over Ecola right now, we're now moving that into Tuscaloosa County. This is northern Tuscaloosa County, just crossing that Pickens to Tuscaloosa County line. And rather than a hook like what we were seeing before, this is more, looks more straight line in wind damage or wind direction for what we're concerned with. So it does appear that our velocities are weakening right now. The cell is weakening, but throughout the life cycle of a storm, you have its low points, you have its high points. So it does not mean we are out of the woods yet. And this is moving into places such as Samantha. If you were driving on Route 43, you know anyone driving on Route 43 this evening, that would be in Fayette County, or excuse me, Tuscaloosa County into Fayette County this evening. This is a dangerous storm to be driving into. It's best to either avoid the area right now or pull over and stay safe and get some shelter. That is the best advice we can do right now, assuming we have it at the right velocity. 4:09, right now it is over Ecola. This is a Central Standard Time, and by 4:17 we expect it to be over Samantha. So this whole line of storms will be over Route 43 as we head into about 10 minutes from now. So this is definitely a very significant severe weather threat. We are going to continue to watch this, and for that, we are going to go to the desk with Robert.
Right, thank you, Riley. Yes, we do have a developing situation here as we watch currently. There is this tornado, and Jonathan,
New tornado warning.
there is a new tornado warning issued. I will pass it off to Jonathan to talk about.
Yeah, so new tornado warning has been issued. The tornado warning for Pickens County was just canceled, but behind me, it looks like Walker County, where Jasper is located, there is a new circulation developing. So what we were saying about cycling appears to have been true. I'm going to take a second and pull up this. Okay, so this is a very messy setup that we have right here, where this tornado is going to be rain wrapped if it is formed. Notice where that tornado vortex signature indicator is, there's bright red rain picking up on the reflectivity. That couplet is going to be sort of more of a spin up rather than the traditional hook echo as a result of it being rain wrapped, but new tornado warning in effect. I don't think it just includes Jasper, but the towns of Cordova, Parrish, Oakman, Sipsey, and Barry. So this is going to clip, it looks like clip Fayette County and then head into Walker County. And for more on that, we're going to go back to the wall, and Aaron's got us covered.
That's right. Right here, again, there is that the tornado-warned storm right now just off to the southwest of Samantha, moving off to the northeast. And it looks like we have another tornado warning actually just to the north of that, near Samantha. Is that correct, John?
So there is one that is north Tuscaloosa County. That was the one that we noticed that
Okay.
was weakening, and there's a brand new one for, it is Tuscaloosa. Oh, that just tightened. So there is a new tornado warning in effect for the very northern tip of Tuscaloosa County, the very southeastern tip of Fayette County, and for the majority of Walker County.
That's right. So again, this is northern portions of Tuscaloosa County moving over towards Jasper and Wegra right now. And again, this is all moving off to the northeast, as that's the general motion of these thunderstorms right now. And here is the thunderstorm outlook right now. Again, all these storms are particularly happening over that enhanced risk right now over portions of west central Tennessee down towards central Mississippi and over towards the northwestern portions of the state of Alabama. But that doesn't mean we can't see any storms possibly in any of these marginal or even slight risks possibly. And even down to our neck of the woods too, we are underneath that marginal or close to that marginal risk as well. But again, most of the activity does tend to be around the northern portions of Alabama and Mississippi. And again, here's another look at that tornado right now warned storm near Windham Springs right now. Again, moving off to the northeast over towards I-22 here soon between about Jasper and Wegra. And let's see, yeah, so it looks like we have, I think, it looks like this one's going to be just, okay. So it looks like we have the one over Windham Springs right now. It's moving over to the northeast right now. We have the one in Jasper and Wegra. So again, if you are in these locations, please do make sure to take shelter right now in the lowest portion of your home. A lot better, of course, in an interior portion of your house. And again, a tornado warning is in effect until 4:45 for the southern one just north of Tuscaloosa, and then one near Fayette right now is in effect until 5 p.m. And again, these are all central time right now. This is a pretty sloppy storm right now off to the northeast, and it is tight though for places like Windham Springs right now. But if you can't really quite see it. But again, this is all moving towards the northeast. And again, if you're in places like Jasper and Wegra, please do take shelter. But now we'll pass things over back to Jonathan with any more updates.
So this looks like it's going to be sort of a bookend vortice on the back side of the cell. So just to the south of Barry behind me, notice we do have those bright greens and reds rubbing against each other, and that's where the spin up is really starting to happen. Just like that, we just got a tornado vortex signature popping up on radar. It is currently headed just in the very northern edge of Tuscaloosa County. I need to restate that the University of Alabama and downtown Tuscaloosa, as well as anyone driving on Interstate 59, you are not in this warning right now. However, tornado could be developing I'm going to go ahead and switch over to correlation coefficient. Not really much happening there yet, but there could be a tornado on the ground right now in far northern Tuscaloosa County, about to track just south of Berry and Fayette County and then head into Walker. Robert, I'm going to switch to Robert on the wall again, and he's going to go right back into that area.
Right, we are watching, of course, this developing situation just north of Samantha, Wyndham Springs. As Jonathan just said, we want to emphasize that if you are in Tuscaloosa, if you are in Northport, that whole area around the Tuscaloosa Central Metro, you are not at risk for this storm. This is just the far northern part of Tuscaloosa County, and as it's moving towards Samantha, Wyndham Springs, Akola, you are probably not in danger for this storm anymore, but don't let your guard down. We have some storms behind that we're continuing to watch. If we say this storm has passed for any of the cities that we name on this map, this situation is not over. In fact, this is just the beginning of the time frame we are watching for this situation. So we're going to want to make sure that if you are in any of these cities, you are still remaining vigilant, even if the tornado warning has expired, even if it's moved past. Right now, we're watching Samantha, Wyndham Springs, these two tornado warnings along US 43. This is the area of circulation we are watching most closely. We have an area that's tightening just up here. That's why we're concerned about it. That's why we just had a tornado warning issued on it by the National Weather Service, if we can zoom in right there. And that is quite a tight couplet just north of Wyndham Springs. So if you are anywhere just east of Berry, east of US 43, north of Wyndham Springs, southwest of Oakland, including the city of Oakland yourself, you really need to be taking your tornado precautions right now, because everyone in this area right here is at a quite big risk for a tornado, because this couplet is really wrapping up. So if you are able to go into your tornado shelters, your interior closets, your interior rooms, you need to do so now, because all of you in this area are at a risk for a dangerous tornado. But we're not going to leave the other area out. Down here just west of Samantha, we are continuing to watch this area of circulation for a tornado as well. Not quite as tight as the one up there, but there's still a pretty evident circulation right here. So we're continuing to watch that right there as well, because these are two dangerous tornado setups. We are going to take a quick break for you guys, and we will be back on the air at 6 p.m. We are continuing to watch all of these tornadoes develop over through the rest of the night. From all of us here at FSU Weather, we are continuing to try and make you safe. We will stream right after the end of our show at 6:30 p.m. as well, so make sure you continue to watch our Twitter and staying updated for all of these situations right here. But from all of us at the studio, thank you for joining us, and we will continue to keep you updated.